also you will use the Mercedes car. Okay, or in another way, let's say Python is so easy, then without thinking about time complexity and space complexity, people will apply the logic. Okay, now in that term, you can say that C is very difficult to learn. Okay, if you are thinking about implementing C at the industry level, but same way, the execution speed of the C, okay, it is the fastest. Not a single programming language can compete with it. Okay, so C is the best. Okay, but only problem is that you should be real programmer. Okay, and it should not be like, let's say, you just explore the introductory thing and then you will start working on it. And let's say in case of artificial intelligence, this is the current and most demanding industry at present. Okay, so most of the developer, they will look for Python developer. Most of this industry will look for the Python developer. Okay, so they can write more code. Okay, and in case of Python, lots of libraries came into the picture, and it has given, you can say, it has given very solid support to Python. Okay, and because of that only, Python is more popular. In case of Java and .NET, what happened? uh, Actually, in case of Java and .NET also, there are lots of third-party libraries, but all those libraries are paid. So if you want to develop anything, or if you want to write anything, then very hardly you will find any open library. Another thing, it is little bit difficult for you to include library into Java file, let's say jar, or you have to download it and then you have to compile it and then you have to attach it. Okay, but in case of Python, nothing, just go to command line, simply type a line, and everything will be returned from internet automatically. So at least what we can say that whatever effort was there by industry and generating some libraries, paid libraries. Okay, all those things are been introduced in Python free of cost. Okay, so and you, whether you believe it or not, data visualization tools which are available in Python, they are superb. Okay, they are implemented in such a way that you can generate the corporate level kind of data visualization, data representation using those libraries. So people are, because of that only, people are diverting towards the Python. Clear, Arun?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So today, before starting it, let me uh, let me show you the various alternatives to write code in Python. Okay, so let me represent my screen. Okay, is it visible to you, all of you? Now, first, very simple approach. Go to python.org. Okay, now here, this is the official Python website, and you have to go to the download, Windows or Mac. In case of Linux, no need to download anything. Simply go to terminal and then execute apt get install Python 3.7 or 3.8 something, whatever version you want. So here you can see this is the entire archive of the Python. Okay, so whatever version you want to use, okay, that you can specify over here. Now, whenever you will download any setup, okay, and if you will install it, then if you want to go with the simple editor, then there is editor known as idle, Okay, so using idle, you can develop it. Another popular approach is, let's say, anaconda.com. So you just go to the anaconda.com. Okay, and in anaconda.com, click on get started. Okay, and get started, install Anaconda individual edition. So if you click over here, then it will redirect you to Anaconda installer page. Okay, and from here, whatever you want to use, you can download and you can install. I will explain you that why we should go with the Anaconda if you are planning to work with, let's say, um, data science or anything else. So I will explain you the feature of it, Anaconda. So let's move forward. Another approach is PyCharm. Okay, so JetBrains PyCharm, you can install PyCharm and then you can write code. Okay, but in past I have tried with this. It is little bit difficult for me because every time we have to set up some project folder and all those things, a main file and all those things. So in case of that. Hmm. Yeah, I found it. I found it little bit difficult. So I normally do not. And normally I don't use the PyCharm. So for individual use or for personal use, you can download it and then you can install it. Another option is Atom. So in Atom text editor, you have to just install the Python extension. Okay, so whatever necessary plugins are there that you have to install over there, and then you can execute it. So Atom, you can also use the Atom. Same way, you can use Notepad++. So here, in case of no, Atom and Notepad++, both are text editors. So if you want to compile the code, okay, then you have to open the terminal, and from terminal you have to execute the code. Okay, while this PyCharm and this idle, Python idle, okay, they will give you that feature or functionality in editor as well. And the idle is a very simple and plain, you can say, vanilla editor where nothing extra features are given. Okay, so whatever required features were there, okay, they are mentioned there. Now, if you move forward, then another option is VS Code. Okay, Visual Studio Code. So this is also a good tool if you want to use. This is from Microsoft. Okay, and this is working very fine. So once you will open it, then here you have to go to the plugin section, extension. Okay, and there you have to install the Python extension. Okay, so then you can execute the any Python code. So for example, if you are writing print hello, okay, and if you will click on run in terminal, okay, then you can see here it will give you output. So this is also a good option if you want to work with the Python. So lots of options are available with you. Now let's focus on Anaconda. Okay, then why we should go with the Anaconda? Yes, Arun, see, you are asking about latest link of Anaconda. So you just, this is the link, and from here you can download the Anaconda
No,
link.
sir, I already have Anaconda. I was saying the
Okay.
Pythons.
Python, in case of Anaconda, Anaconda is like bundle. So whatever basic
Sir,
libraries are required, okay, all those things are inside the Anaconda. So no need to install it separately.
sir, I had some issue with it. Anaconda. So in our
Uh,
AI subject, there was one program of making a single player game. So it
uh.
generates a window, and after generating a window, I am not able to close that window, and my computer got stuck.
So are you implementing using WX Python or PyQt?
I don't know. It was Pygame. Can I share the screen and you can help me to solve the problem?
So yes, yes. Let me just give introduction and let me give some starting program. So meanwhile, others are doing program.
Yes,
At that
yes.
time, we will see that what we can do in that case. Sure. So let's move. Let's focus on Anaconda. So if you will download Anaconda, okay, and then if you want to execute it, then you have to click on. You have to write Anaconda and you have to execute Anaconda Navigator. So once you will execute it, then you will get this string. You will get this screen. Okay, and in this screen, they will give you various options for executing the or for writing the code in Python. So Jupyter Lab is basically you can say a simple server, and Jupyter Notebook is an part of Jupyter Lab using which we can develop or we can write the Python code. Now, in if you don't want to run execute an entire Anaconda, okay, then you can directly run Jupyter Notebook from here only. Okay, so many times I have tried. So if you will click on this, then you can see it will be open. It will open a new Jupyter environment. So again, get back to the topic. So if you don't want to launch Anaconda, then you can directly execute Jupyter Notebook. Then PowerShell prompt. So this is PowerShell prompt of Anaconda. So whatever configuration you want to apply, whatever configuration you want to change, that you can change from PowerShell. Then IPY means interactive Python. So auto suggestion and all those things, auto completion, IntelliSense and all those things are supported in IPython. So IPython is actually you can say let me just show you so you can have idea. But you see just this is the Qt console, okay? So you won't get any GUI kind of thing. You will get the console for this. So that is IPY interactive Python. Then there is a Spider. So Spider is also an IDE. So if you will click on it, then it will launch the Spider, okay? And then I hope IDE is visible to you, all of you. Okay, so here if you look at this, they have given a simple program. Okay, and if you will click on this play button, okay, then on this side you will get the output. So you can also go with the Spider if you are convenient with the Spider. So I don't have any issue with it. Now, VS Code that I already shown you. Then Glueys, Orange 3 and RStudio. These are not currently installed, but if you will click on install, then they will install it, and then it will those software will be configured to be used with the you can say ID, the Anaconda ID. Now here, why I'm preferring Anaconda? So here, if you look at left hand side panel, okay, then there is environment. So let's say if you are working with multiple projects, okay, let's say networking as well as image processing, as well as let's say artificial intelligence, as well as let's say web crawling. So in all those environment, requirement of library will be different. So what this environment will do? Environment will allow you to create separate environment for each project. It will allow you to create separate environment for each project. Okay, so whatever library you want to configure or you want to use for a particular environment, that you can use by specifying the environment variable. Now, how to add libraries? So for that, you have to just go to here. and you have to select all. Then it will show you all the libraries which are available currently with Anaconda repo. Okay, so from this you can select any. So if you will select any library, then here you can see you will find apply button. Okay, so you just simply click on apply button. Okay, and that library will be installed. And if you want to update the repo, then you have to click on update index. So whatever new libraries are added with it with the repo, okay, those will be available here, and then from here you can install it. As well as they have given some learning resources for libraries, as well as you can say pure or you can say core Python. Okay, so if you will click on it, then it will redirect you to the website of that particular library. So this is how whatever tutorial you want to explore, okay, that you can uh, write or that you can explore over here. Okay, so various tutorials are given over here. So for example, this is pandas document that said this is scipy documentation. Okay, then this is bouquet user guide. So this is bouquet is a library, you can say, which you can use for data visualization. Okay, then desk. So here they have mentioned that desk is a flexible parallel computing library for analytic computing. So if you want to work with the multi higher dimension data, then at that case or in that case you will perform the parallel execution. So all the details related to this desk will be found from here. So various tutorials they have specified over here. Okay, and whatever you want to read, okay, that then you can read it over there. So if you want to see the training, then if you will click on training, okay, then it will redirect you to the training. Then if you will click on documentation, okay, then it will redirect you to documentation. Webinar, nothing. Training is there. I think only one training is there. And if you will click on documentation, then it will bring you to the documentation. So various options are available in this, and there is a community as well. So in community you can refer to any of this community for help. Okay, so here also they have categorized, let's say, forum, then social website. So uh, lots of options are available in case of Jupyter Notebook, in case of Anaconda Navigator. So it will give you flexibility to configure environment as per your requirement. Now, if you want to launch, means if you want to start code, okay, then you have to launch the Jupyter Notebook. Okay, so if you will click on it, then it will show you this kind of interface. Now, whatever file you will create in Jupyter Notebook, okay, extension of those file will be .ipynb. IPYNB means Interactive Python Notebook. So, what is this? So, this is actually Jupyter Notebook is combination of Python and Interactive Python. So IPY. So I is standing for Interactive Python. Okay, IPY means Interactive Python, and NB stands for Notebook. So extension is IPYNB. Now this file you can directly open in Google Colab as well. So at present, if you have not configured your environment for practical, okay, then you can do one thing. You can open the Colab. Okay, so colab.research.google.com. Okay, you can open this, and then in Colab, you can see that whatever, let's say, experiment you want to perform related to the Python. Okay, so once you are over here, then click on new notebook. Okay, so it will start a new notebook for you. Okay, and it will take little bit time for creating the notebook. Okay, but once it is created, then you can, yes, so this is our let's say notebook, Colab notebook. Okay, then whatever you will write here, print hello. Okay, so simply after writing this into the cell, okay, click on play button. Okay, so it will execute this code, and whatever output will be there, it will show you that output over here. Okay, so this is the output of print hello. Okay, so this is one way using which you can write code. Or if you want to use this Jupyter notebook, then here you have to click on new, and in new you have to click on Python 3. Okay, so it will give you this kind of interface, and then whatever if you want to rename this file, then you have to click over here the file name. Okay, so let's give them name, let's say 21082020 PC3. So this is what you will get, and then let's say in Jupyter Notebook you will get the cell, so line by line. So this is another feature of Jupyter Notebook, that if you want to divide your code into multiple parts, let's say if there is any error in your code, okay, then easily you can focus on a particular part, that which part is generating the error. So how to execute it? So let's write simple first hello world program. Okay, and after writing it, you have to press Shift plus Enter. Okay, so if you will press Shift Enter, it will execute that cell, as well as it will create a new cell. So here you can see this will give you the sequence, that in which sequence we have executed it. Okay, so let's say if we are writing print 5. Okay, so if you will press Control Enter, okay, then it will simply execute it. It will not create a new cell. So at present, cell 2 is executed at last. Now again, if I'm executing this cell, okay, then this one will be converted to 3. Okay, so this is the cell which was executed at last. So likewise you will get, you can say, uh, serial number, so you can have idea that in which sequence the code was executed. Okay, or you have written the program and it was executed. So it will help you to keep the trace of your execution of your code. Then if you move forward, then here there are lots of command palette. So here if you will click over there, then there is a command palette, and if you will click on it, then here you can see that lots of command are given. Okay, so all these commands are belonging to the interactive Python, IPython. Okay, so all those are implemented over here. So as per your requirement you can write it. And let's say what you people are supposed to do. So let me show you your classroom, and let me give you the classroom code as well. So this is your Google Classroom code, where you people will be uploading your lab experiment. So I have pasted the Google Classroom code into let's say chat box. Okay, and from using that classroom code, you are supposed to join the Google Classroom. Now, if you will go to the classwork, then here you can see yesterday we have created 3 experiments. So that same way people are supposed to perform the experiment. So whatever lab will be there, for each lab we will be creating let's say this experiment into the Google Classroom, and once you are done with that experiment, you are going to submit it. So this time we are creating e-manual, or you can say online manual. So where you are supposed to submit all the code, whatever you are supposed to, whatever you have performed in your lab hours. So here you will write those code. Then Let me give you the first experiment, okay, for lab. So Google Classroom code is specified or it is shared into the chat box, okay, and from chat box you can uh, join the classroom, okay. You are supposed to upload all your experiment over there. Now let me give you the first experiment from classroom. Now, what we have discussed in classroom, can anyone tell me? If you want to delete any cell, then simply click on that cell, not inside the cell, but click on the cell and press D 2 times. Okay, if you want to cut the cell, then you have to press X. Okay, and then V. Okay, so these are the some of the shortcut that will be helpful to you. Okay, now let's move forward. What we have discussed in classroom. Can anyone tell me? What we have discussed in lecture. Okay. Oh, forgot. Okay, let me start. First feature, which will be very helpful to you people, semicolon is optional in Python. So if you forget to put the semicolon, no problem, it will not give you any error. Okay, so it is not compulsory. The curly braces are not there for defining the function body, loop body, main program body. Okay, so curly braces are not required. So how Python will define everything? So Python will use indentation. So what is indentation? Can anyone tell me? Indentation means space. Normally, four blank space are considered as a indentation. So if you want to change it, then you can change it. So compulsory, you have to put the space. You have to put the indentation. So you automatically your code will look cleaner. Okay. So there will be indentation. Another thing, so those including those library whenever you are required those library only. Okay, so if you don't require any library, then there is no need to import it. And some simple kind of thing, or like you have done in other programming language, like you will write public static void main, and then you will specify the arg and all those things. So that is not required in case of Python. So without main, if you want to write the code, then you can write it. Okay, now let's move forward with the first or initial experiment. So before starting with the actual experiment, let's see that how we can declare or how we can define the variable. So if you want to define the variable, then you can define, like, let's say is equals to 3. Okay, so this will simply define the variable, and if you will print a comma type of a. Okay, so here you can see This is how you can write the print, and whatever number of argument you want to print, you can print. Okay, so A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Likewise, let's say if you want to print n number of argument, then you can specify over here in print, and then you can print it. Now here you see, if you look at the type of A, okay, then what we are getting in output? It is belonging to class integer. So when we have discussed the feature of Python, at that time we have discussed that Python is purely object-oriented programming language. So for every single variable there is a class, okay, and all the instance or the variable will be created using class. So here you can see here, whenever you will define any variable, so container of that variable will be decided automatically, and then will be assigned, object of that particular class will be created, and then it will be assigned. So if we are writing A is equals to, let's say, hello, so in that case you can see the class will become string. Okay, so based on the container or the type of the data we are storing into the variable, the type of class will be or class will be selected. Now here, if you want to take any input from the user, okay, so for that there is an input function. So x is equals to, let's say, x or v1, variable v1 is equals to input, okay, and then you write, let's say, enter string or enter value. Okay, print v1 comma type of v1. So here let me enter 4. Okay, so here you can see, in input function we will put a string. So this is optional, it is not mandatory. So but whatever message you want to display to the user, okay, that you can specify into the group, means in bracket. And then if we enter something, and if we try to print the type of input, okay, then you can see we will get the string. So by default, whenever we will give an input, the data type of that input will be, you can say, string. So how to do the typecasting? Okay, because let's say if you are working with the user input, okay, then we have to convert that user input into appropriate data type, okay, and then we can use it. So typecasting, our question was typecasting. So whatever input, let's say whatever input is given by user, okay, we want to convert it into the you can say integer. Okay, so for example, let's say we have received input in v1, so what we will do, v1 is equals to int v1. Okay, now there is another one function called id. Okay, so id of v1. Okay, and then we will print v1 comma type of v1 comma id of v1. Okay, so previously you can see what is the id, 1435677052016. Okay, and here you, if you look at the last 5 digit 52016, and here if you look at the last 5 digit 17488, then you can see id is changed. So what will happen whenever you will do the typecasting? So whenever you will do the typecasting, okay, in that case, object of that type will be created. Now, can anyone tell me that what is the feature of constructor? What is the feature of constructor? Okay, first of all, it should be public. Yes, after that, No return type. Good. Another thing, name of the constructor will be same as name of the constructor will be same as class name. Okay, name of the constructor will be same as class name. So here you can see whenever uh, we are defining the means we are typecasting the variable. Okay, you can see here we are actually calling the constructor of class integer. Okay, so what will happen? The whatever value we have specified, that value will be passed to this object, okay, constructor, okay, and then it will be initialized. So that's the reason that actually whenever we are doing typecasting, actually we are changing the content of it. Okay, so we are creating the new object. So that's the reason that we will get the different ID after typecasting. So this is how you can do the typecasting. V1 is equals to integer V1. Okay, and this is how you can get input from the user. The rest of the things are same as other programming language. Let's say you are using two variable, okay, and you want to perform the addition of variable, okay, that V1 plus 5, okay, and then if you will print V1, okay, then you can see 4 plus 5 9. So those operators are already available with you, and you already studied in other programming languages. So addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, all those things are already implemented, and you people have already studied, so that you can use. Now once you are done with your experiment, okay, what you have to do, you have to go to the file, okay, and then you have to click on download as .py file. Okay, and that py file you have to upload on Google Classroom. Okay, now if you don't want to upload the py file, okay, then you can go to the home directory. Means in C drive there will be a users folder, and inside user folder there will be a folder with your username. Okay, and let me show you the thing so you can have idea. Hmm. So this is the you can say my home directory, and whatever file we have created, okay, that file, those file are here. So you can either upload, means download that py file, and then you can upload it into the Google Classroom, or if you don't want to do in that way, you want to directly upload this file into the classroom, Google Classroom, okay, then also you can do it. So as per your convenience, you are free to do. So either you can upload .py file, or you can upload ipynb file. Now let's get back to the topic, and let me give you experiment number one. Okay, so that experiment number one is write a program to find the surface of rectangle, triangle, and circle. So you can go to the classwork, means you can open the Google Classroom, and then you can go to the experiment number one. And let me paste it over here. Write a program to calculate area of triangle, area of circle, and area of rectangle. Okay, so you have to write program for this. Okay, and then you have to upload the file. So let me give you a simple demonstration. Let's say let's write code for circle. So RAD, radius equals to integer. In that line only we will do the typecasting. Input, we will display message. We will display message over here. enter radius. Okay, and then to calculate the area, you have to write radius into 3.14. Okay, and then you have to write print area of circle is, then you have to print area. Okay, so if you will execute it, let's say let me enter 23. So 23, which is area of this circle with the radius 23 is 1661.0. So this is what you will get. All of you clear with this? How you are going to implement code? Yes. So please start working on it. And once you are done with it, let me know. I will ask you to share your screen so I can see your code. Clear? All of you? Uh, Now here, I don't think so you will get switch case in Python. Mhm. Not directly. So direct switch case statements are not available. I hope we are going with the proper speed. Okay, and my method of content delivery is also compatible to you people. Are you people facing any issue? So meanwhile, if you are writing code, I'm available here only. So if you are having any doubt or any question, then you can ask me. So just start writing code. These are not the long or very difficult exercise. You can implement it very easily. So you should be done with that. Anybody done with the program? Anyone from class? What about Darshit, Dhaval, Karan, Naitik, Ranjit, and Suraj? Yes, Karan, if you are done with the coding, please share your screen so I can see your code. So where you have written the code, Karan? Okay. Okay, so uh, I think, and now I have to give individual program to individual student. Okay, so you all people don't think in the same way. Exactly word to word, character to character, your program is matching. Karan and okay, 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 no problem, Arun Singh. Yes, done. Then please share your screen. So if you are done with this, then we will move forward with the next experiment. Yes. A minute. Yes. 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 I am here only, Arun. Okay, no problem. Let's move forward. And once you are done with this experiment, you have to upload that IPYNB file into Classroom, right? So let's move forward with the experiment number two. Okay, what is experiment number two? Experiment number two is generating the grade sheet of student. So my screen is visible. Write a program. Okay, my screen is visible to all of you, right? Is it visible? Yes. So what we are supposed to do, we will get a 5 subject mark from student, okay, and then we will calculate the average and we will define the grade for that average. Now here, as you can see, when we are getting input, we have to check whether a particular mark is it must be less than 100. Okay, so all the marks must be less than 100. If it is greater than 100, then we will say that whether it is invalid mark, and if it is less than 100, then we will consider it for average. Okay, so then we will calculate the result. Okay, then we will check whether any subject mark is less than 40 or not. If any subject mark is less than 40, then result will be fail. Okay, so if any subject mark is not less than 40, then in that case, what we will do, we will calculate the average, and then based on the average, we will try to define the grade. So here, let me give you a quick demonstration that how you can use if else into the Python. So let me create a new cell. Okay, and let me give you a very simple example. Let's say a is equals to integer input. Okay, enter a value. So we will try to see whether that particular value is less than greater than 10, or in between 10 and 15, or in between 15 and 20, like this. So let's move forward. So how to write if condition? If a is greater than 5. Now, if you remember the starting of our today's session, okay, then you can recall that we have mentioned that uh, we are not going to you can say write semicolon or curly braces for defining the function body or condition body or anything else. So let's move forward. So whenever we want to, how Python interpreter will know that there is a new block of code. So if then condition, and then we will write colon. So when our interpreter will know that there is a colon, okay, after colon there will be new line of new block of code after that colon with one indentation. Now here you can see automatically it will add 4 blank space. Okay, so that means whatever statements are written on this indentation, all those statements will belongs to if. Okay, so if a is greater than 5, then we will see that. print a is greater than 5. Okay, now if you want to write only single if, then you can write. If you want to write if else, then also you can write, let's say, as print a is less or equal to 5. If you want to put multiple condition, if you want to assign multiple condition, or if you want to check multiple condition, then you can write like, let's say, if uh, a is greater than 5 and a is less than 10. Okay, then we can say that print a is in between 5 and 10, or 5 or yes, 5 and 10. Okay, so this is how you can use the if condition. Okay, so there will be no curly braces. So in that case here, if you enter 16, then you can say 16 is greater than 5. So it will show is greater than, but it is not in between 5 and 10. So this if won't be executed. So are you clear with this, that how you can implement or how you can use the if statement? All of you? Okay. So start working on this problem definition. So write code for this. Okay, but here if you want to put if inside the if statement, then also you can put, okay, but the indentation will be more. So if a is greater than 5, okay, and let's say if you want to put another condition inside if, then you have to write like, let's say, if a is less than 20, let's say 10 or 11. So a is, then in that case, here for this one column there is one indentation, then this is another column, so current indentation plus 1. Okay, so here there will be 2 indentation. So as you can see, whatever print statement we will write, it will be uh, written with 2 indentation. Okay, if I am putting another if here, okay, then there will be 3 indentation. One is already there, here it is 2, means 2 are already there, and 2 plus 1 3. So here you can see there will be 3 indentation. So this is how you can combine the multiple if condition. Now here you people are going to implement this program using multiple condition. Okay, so first of all you will check, now none of the marks should be greater than 100. So the way we have written multiple condition using AND, that same way we can write condition using OR. Okay, so we will check m1 is greater than 100, or m2 is greater than 100, or m3 is greater than 100, or m4 is greater than 100, or m5 is greater than 100. So what we will do, we will display message invalid mark. Okay, and then we will write else. Okay, so how you are going to implement it, let me just give you quick hint. So here if you will condition check for less than 100 marks. Okay, and then in else, uh, means if any of the subject mark is greater than 100, then we will print that invalid mark. In else, we will again check whether any subject mark is less than 40 or not. So condition check for less than 40 for individual subject. Okay, so if any of the subject mark is less than 40, then we will print failed. Okay, and if none of the subject mark is less than 40, then we will calculate average. Okay, sum divided by 5, and then we will put multiple condition. Okay, now here in case of Python, if you want to in case of Python, let's say if you want to implement that if else if ladder, okay, then it will be like, let's say if condition 1, then L if condition 2, then L if condition 3, okay, then L if condition 4, and at last there will be else. So this is how you can implement. Okay, here after each column there will be set of statement. So this is how you are supposed to implement this program. So I think I have given you almost 50 percentage program. So yes, Arunsi, your doubt is that so we need to create one for one user only. Yes, for single student only we will be creating it, and elif statement I have mentioned. So you can use the else if statement as per your requirement. Clear? Okay, no problem. Yes, anyone who is done with the program? Good. This is not that much difficult. Okay, no problem. Yes, anyone who is done with the program? Okay, good. Can you share your screen, Arun C? Okay, or good in red mark. If filled. Okay, and else less than 75 and greater than 65. Yes, yes, it is visible. I'm reading your code only. Good, very good, Arun. Anyone else who is done with this? Anyone else who is done with the code? Anyone from class? Yes, anyone? Anyone else who is done with the coding or who is done with this experiment from the class? Yes, Arun, you are facing some issue. What was that issue? Can you share? Excuse me. So please share your screen so we can see that. Pygame event display. Hmm. Okay. So, uh, so just show me the close button. Yeah, okay. Mm, no, 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 no. Yes, restart. Yes, go to the code. Last code, last code. Yes. No, no, no. Last code. Yes. So, init now pygame.init. Okay. Can you unmute yourself so we can discuss? Is
Yes.
there any stop function for init? Yes, normally in file, whenever we will open the file, there will be open. Okay, open function will be there. So whenever we are opening file, we have to close it. So for that close function is also there. So is
But I
there
haven't
any?
write any close function.
Uh Because why I'm telling you that it should it is not getting terminated properly. Okay, so if you will close it, but as per programming, uh, it should be terminated. So all the resources, whatever you have used, okay, so those resources should be freed to use with some
So
other.
sir, so sir, is it happening because of that code is as of now incomplete? Uh, we are
So
still
yes, the
writing the code.
problem is like, let's say, when over here what is happening whenever you are closing the program. Okay, okay, actually it is not releasing the resources of means that process is not getting terminated properly. So because of that reason only it is happening, and whenever next time if you will click on close, okay, then this is something like ghost process, in operating system, that process is terminated but its resources and all those are still occupied. Okay, so whenever you log in, close it, close that process, then what will happen, that process doesn't exist. Okay, so it will show you the error. So there is some problem with the you can say Python interpreter, so it will show you that kind of message. Okay, but actually the problem is that it is not getting terminated properly. Okay, so I think there should be some function which will you can say terminate the pygame. Pygame.quit function is, I think, there. Pygame.quit. Okay, so before displaying message to the last line, just go to the bottom. Okay, yes, after flip, remove the indentation. Yes, there you write pygame.quit. Now you just try. Got it?
Yeah, sir, done that. Thank you.
Welcome. So